The little girl's voice was barely louder than the wind rushing between tall buildings, yet it stopped a man worth millions more effectively than any shout ever could. In the middle of a crowded downtown street in New York, where people hurried past with eyes fixed on screens and schedules, her small presence carried a weight that would crack open a guarded heart and quietly change several lives forever. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the idea that one small act can reshape a destiny, take a moment now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this exist to remind us that compassion still has power in this world. The man was Andrew Whitmore, a self-made millionaire in his early 40s, known in business circles for his discipline, sharp instincts, and emotional distance. Raised in a Christian household in the United States, Andrew had drifted far from faith as success wrapped itself tightly around his life. His days were filled with boardrooms, contracts, and carefully calculated decisions. His evenings were quiet, empty, and predictable. Wealth had solved many problems, but it had not filled the silence that followed him home every night. That afternoon, Andrew sat alone at an outdoor cafe near Central Park, eating lunch between meetings. The table was clean, the food expensive, the city alive around him. He barely noticed the world beyond his thoughts, which circled endlessly around profits, losses, and an unexplainable heaviness he never spoke about. He had everything he once prayed for, and still felt like something essential was missing. Across the street, unnoticed by most, a little girl hovered near trash bins and benches, watching people eat. Her clothes were thin, her shoes worn, and her hair tangled from nights without warmth or comfort. Her name was Lily, and she was 8 years old. Life had taught her hunger earlier than it should have. She had learned to survive quietly, to ask rarely, and to accept rejection quickly. Lily had been homeless for over a year after her mother passed away, and the system failed to catch her in time. Shelters had been crowded, temporary, and often frightening. So she learned the streets, clinging to the edges of safety, guided only by instinct and a fragile hope that kindness still existed somewhere. That day, hunger pressed harder than fear. The smell of food drifted through the air, and Lily's eyes followed Andrew's plate as he ate without looking up. She stood still for a long moment, her small hands clenched, her heart pounding. Approaching adults usually ended badly, but something about Andrew felt different. Not warm, not friendly, but quiet in a way she recognized. When she finally stepped closer, the world seemed to slow. Andrew noticed her shadow before her face. He looked up, ready to dismiss another interruption, but what he saw unsettled him. Lily wasn't demanding. She wasn't begging loudly. She simply stood there, thin and trembling, eyes steady but tired. Her presence pierced through his practiced indifference. The moment stretched. Andrew felt discomfort rise, followed by an urge to look away. He had donated money before, written checks, funded programs. But this was different. This was immediate, personal, unavoidable. He saw not a statistic, but child shaped by loss and endurance far beyond her years. Something inside him shifted, not dramatically, not loudly, but deeply. The question she had asked in her quiet way echoed in his mind, heavier than any business negotiation. It reminded him of a boy he once was, sitting at a small kitchen table with his mother, sharing simple meals and prayers, believing the world was kinder than it turned out to be. Andrew gestured for her to sit, surprising himself as much as anyone. He ordered more food, careful not to overwhelm her, watching as she ate slowly, almost cautiously, as if afraid the moment might vanish if she moved too fast. He didn't ask questions at first. He simply shared the space, feeling an unfamiliar warmth spread through the silence. As Lily ate, Andrew observed details he could not ignore. The way she saved pieces of bread instinctively, the way her shoulders relaxed only slightly, the way gratitude showed in her eyes without words. Each detail chipped away at the walls he had built around his heart. Eventually, he learned fragments of her story through gentle observation and small exchanges without prying. Enough to understand that she was alone in a city of millions. Enough to understand that no amount of money mattered if it didn't reach moments like this. Andrew canceled his next meeting for the first time in years. He walked Lily to a nearby shelter, ensuring she was safe for the night. But he didn't leave it there. He returned the next day, and the next. Each visit brought food, conversation, and consistency. something Lily had lost long ago. For Andrew, the changes were unexpected and unsettling. His sleep improved. His thoughts softened. The emptiness he had tried to ignore began to make sense. He realized he had spent years building a life that impressed others while neglecting the part of himself that needed meaning. He started using his resources differently, not just donating, but involving himself, supporting shelters, funding programs with accountability and care. But most importantly, being present. Lily became the quiet center of this transformation, not because she asked for anything, but because her existence demanded honesty. Over time, Andrew pursued legal guardianship. The process was slow, complex, and emotionally taxing. There were background checks, evaluations, and moments of doubt. But Andrew faced them with a determination he hadn't felt since his earliest days of struggle. Lily, once cautious and guarded, began to smile more freely. She started school. She slept without fear. Their home filled with sounds Andrew had forgotten he needed. Laughter, questions, imperfect mornings, simple dinners. He found himself praying again, not out of habit, but gratitude. He returned to the faith he had abandoned, understanding now that blessings were meant to be shared, not stored. Years passed. Lily grew stronger, brighter, surrounded by stability and love. Andrew remained successful, but success no longer defined him. He was no longer the lonely man eating alone in a crowded city. He was a father in every way that mattered. Just before the story ends, take a moment to comment below and share whether you believe one small act of kindness can truly change a life, or even two. The question Lily asked that day never faded from Andrew's memory. It followed him into every decision, every opportunity, every chance to choose compassion over convenience. And in answering it, he discovered that the greatest wealth he would ever know was not measured in numbers, but in moments where hearts meet and lives are quietly rewritten.